Hey, 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 how y'all doing? Welcome back to Purpose and Productivity. I'm Florence, and tonight we're talking about task. We're continuing our conversation. And if you work with a team and the team is not quite as productive, or you're finding yourself, this is the thing, chasing the team to get to know whether the task was done, whether they what they committed to got completed or not, or where they are, or you're having to look in too many different places. The race is on. I see that. And I just am wanting to share with you all a couple of ways that you can in simply organize task management with the team. And I want to use tools that you have access to. I don't want to send you off to get a new tool. So this is about using a couple of tools you already have, but we want to talk about what it could look like in what kind of situations. In my world we call them use cases, where this is applicable. But before I go much further, I want to say hello to some folks who are out there with us today, and I'm grateful to have you all here. Of course, we're going to say hello to Frank Jackson, moderator. Salute to you. How you doing? And and we have with us David Hunt talking about he's first. You're not first, sir, but I'm glad you believe that you are. Hello, Yolanda. Hello, Yolanda B. Glad to have you in the house with us this evening. Yeah, so I am trying something new. I have a poll going, so fill out the poll. Let me know if you're as you come in, you're a newbie, you're been with us, you're just part of the regular Friday live tribe. Would love to hear. I want to use some of these technologies, and you all know I'm always trying something. So why is am I thinking about this? Working with teams and being able to track tasks with a team. Many of us may think about working with teams in terms of a job, but we work with teams all the time. We work with teams in our families, we work with teams in our volunteer service, we work with teams in our faith life, we work with teams in sports. Even if you're doing sports in your community, you're working with teams. We work with teams. When I say in our family, that's not in your smaller nucleus in your home and your extended family. So working with groups of people, when it's more than one person, when there are two or more people, you're working with a team. And let's think about some of the ways we do that in each area of our life. Hey, Tora, glad to have you. Get some questions in, y'all. Get some questions in. And David, you can go back and listen to Tora, watch her video, and give her a thumbs up. She's on fire. Hello, emotional CEO. Glad to have you in the building. Yes, happy Friday, live tribe. So let's talk about some of the kinds of ways we would work with teams in the different areas of our lives. And if any of these resonate with you, put a note in the comments in the chat and let me know. So let's say we're doing volunteer service in a homeowners association or another cause, a food bank or just pick one. Some volunteer service that you serve in your community. Well, you're working with other people to do something. You're not just hopefully just showing up and winging it. Many people just show up and winging it. But someone somewhere, usually more than one person, has to do some planning to make sure that when you show up to wing it, then the work is ready for you. So I'm going to use an organization that I work with because I can pick on me and not anybody else. So I have an organization. I'm going to use my homeowners association just for grins. I work with a group of people. All of us are volunteers. We have meetings. There is organizing the meeting. There are committees. they're working with the members of the committees. Those are all teams. The board is one team, the committees are two or three or four different teams. So there's work and or task or events, usually events, meetings are events, by the way, that we're all working together to achieve. So that's an example in volunteer service. You're working with a group of volunteers in your faith life. It could be the women's group, the men's group, the any type of group. And you still need to organize the task. Who's going to do what? When is it going to get done? How do we know that it's getting done? How do we remember what task is assigned to who? Have you been in a meeting and then nobody is writing down what needs to be done by who? Mary agreed that she would call Sam to make sure Sam could bring chairs. Bob agreed that he would cut the grass at the church before Saturday when everybody shows up. We walk away from the meeting just thinking, okay, Mary's going to do what she said and is going to do what he said. And then we get there on Saturday and the grass is not cut and there aren't enough chairs because Mary didn't call to see if he could get the extra chairs. That's an example of knowing what tasks are assigned to whom and being able to track them. In your home, it's exactly the same. I'm really telling on myself right now. Who's supposed to get the groceries? Florence. Did Florence get the groceries? No. Now, in my home, you can see because things that we need aren't there. But still, that's a failure on my part. I'm just telling y'all, telling on myself. But in your home, in of course we know about in our jobs because we have a boss who gives us something to do or we know what our job description is or however we get assignments. We got a project manager who's giving us tasks. So in in your job it's easier in many ways to do this, but I've seen and I see even in the professional world where teams of people don't have a mechanism that everyone can look at the exact same place and know who is assigned to do what and whether it's getting done. That's what I want you to think about as I go through this. Now, why is it important not only knowing who gets it done, but again, back to the 1,440 minutes a day that we have. If you're spending your time sending emails or text messages asking people, did something get done? Is that more effective or less effective than if everyone is looking in the same place and as a activity or a task gets completed, the person checks it off and you can see that it was checked off. You don't have to call them, you don't have to text them, you don't have to email them, you don't have to send a paper airplane. You can just see that it's happening. If that makes sense to you, put a 1 in the comments. That is, or do you really, really, truly want to use your time texting, emailing, and calling to find out if Mary got the chairs and Bob remembered to go cut the grass? Tell me what your preference is. I really want to know. So we're getting questions coming in and I'm going to answer your questions. So what I'm going to show you, I'm going to go to a couple of simple things and we've talked about these apps before. I'm not using anything complicated and it's intentional. If you are not accustomed to using a group task management tool, use what you have, keep it simple until you begin to work out with your team or teams how it's going to work for you all, what your things you want to change. And I'm going to talk about some of that here. So I'm going to hop over to the computer and show you one way. And I'm going to do this because I have this shared with someone. And I'm going to ask that person to go ahead and put a couple of tasks into the Apple reminders list that we have shared. So, Frank, put the task in, please, into the shared list that we have. So, I'm going to share with you all The first tool I'm going to talk about is using Apple Reminders. And I've got a shared list here. You'll see that here. I got to turn on Pro Mouse. I do this every time because I forget to turn it on. So right here, you see the number of two, the number two. That means I've shared this list with another person. Actually, the avatar is here as well. You can share this list if you're using an iPhone. You can share this list with 2 people, 10 people, 15 people. 15 might be a little out of hand, but if you're working with 2 or 3, maybe up to 5, this is a great tool. And you can have different lists. I just named this sample shared reminder. But you could have a list for your HOA, you could have a list for your um, brother's birthday party. You could have a list for decorating the next room. So each list is its own project, so to speak, right? Well, you could put the task in and you can assign it. So if I type in this task, I'm going to say pick up chairs at the rental place. And I'm going to assign that task by clicking, you can see the information bar here, and I can assign it a day. Let me move this over so you can, hopefully you can see it. It's, I gotta scoot this over. I gotta move this around so you can see it. I can assign a day. I can add a tag. I can put in notes. The chairs, say you're going to pick up 25 chairs and they cost $10 per chair. So you've got $250 worth of stuff you're getting. And now I'm going to assign this to the other person. And I just pick the drop down. And I'm going to say that needs to be done on Saturday. Just pick a day. I could even say a time. So I've now signed that task to the individual. Scoot this back so you can see it. And the person has what the task is. They have enough information. They're getting 25 chairs at $10 a chair, $250. And let's say it's Saturday by magic and the person went and picked up the chairs, and now they're going to just in the reminders app check off on their side that the task is done. So Frank, if you can, I know you need a few seconds. If you can go ahead and check off that you picked up the chairs, I can see, and you all can see that he checked off the task and it is gone. It's no longer on the list. I don't have to email. I don't have to text. I don't have to call. I don't have to do anything. We can both see when things are getting done back and forth. And if he thinks of something, or we're in a conversation or in a meeting, and we're saying, well, I agree to do this and you agree to do that. If we're both adding tasks into this list, then neither one of us have to try to remember what we agreed to do because we're capturing it. Some of the things to think about if you're using this kind of a tool is you can see there's no um, project name specific. If you need that, you can do things like put in here party as the beginning and then say pick up the chairs. I don't know why I'm stuck on picking up chairs for a party, but pick up chairs and then do all of the assignments. You can add a date, you can add a person, you can, if you have the location, you can add a time. Let's say you made the appointment. So you made the appointment for 12. So that can all happen and fill it out right there while you're talking. Now, so this is an easy way. Anybody using Apple Reminders this way, if you're using Apple Reminders in this way, let me know. I would love to know that you are. And Frank, I'm gonna get you. I see that to my for your party. Um, and I think we've got a number of questions. By the way, I do want to say congratulations to Michael Flemings. Yes, you are growing, keep spreading. I know what your content is about. All right. The other thing you could do is where I was saying if you're using something simple like Apple reminders, then you can do some prior you can use the task name to set priority because you don't have a way to do that. So you can use like A at the beginning and that tells everybody that's a A priority, whereas this is a let me let me do this. This is a C priority. So this is what where I'm saying. So we've got an A priority and a C priority. So if you're using something simple like Apple reminders, you can put some of the extras right in there. So if the person is saying which one do I do first, second, or third, using ABC at the beginning helps the person determine what their priority is. Okay. And y'all misbehaving. I'm ignoring some of y'all. I'm just telling you, I'm ignoring some of y'all. Um, all right, Miss Denise. Don't Yolanda, you see, you starting trouble. Y'all starting trouble. You're starting, oh my goodness. Hey Brian, glad to have you in the building. These folks are like being on my case about this party thing. So, welcome to the show, Brian from 24 Hour Boss. So glad to have you in the building. And of course, Miss Denise, so glad to have you always in the building with us. And I did greet you verbally, but I didn't greet you visually. My brother, my heart, the emotional CEO, so glad to have you here, of course. And moderator, salute to Miss Inanea, who's out there with Frank and the emotional CEO serving you all in the community. So glad to have you all here. And I know I saw Michael Flemings. Now I can't find you. I can't find you, Micah. Where you go? Hello, Tora. Glad to have you. I pray that for you that some of the changes you're making on your channel are going to be beneficial for your health and your sanity. There you are, Mike Flenneman. So glad to have you. And I also see my friend Tech Troublemaker Roy is in the building. You all, if you missed his show on Tuesday, and you want a good laugh and be called out at the same time, just wear steel toed boots because he's going to step all over them. But go watch his show from Tuesday and find out which one of his things where that might say you are a content creator. Because I was like, you know what? I can't even say nothing right now because he is calling me out. Uh, okay, so let's get to some questions. So the first question we're going to answer is how do you prevent task overwhelm when multiple team members are adding items to the board? And that's part of Torah, that's part of when I said you're making these decisions and I'm an advocate for starting with a simple tool and not a complicated tool because those are some of the things you need to consider. Who's going to add if everyone is adding, making decisions about the priorities, whether you're going to put dates, whether you're going to put names at the beginning of the task or not, whether you're going to all of the minutia that goes with the task, where do you cut it off? And that's one of the things about using this kind of a simple tool like Apple Reminders. Now, who is assigned is easy because you can see the avatar and you can see the name. But setting priority is going to be really key. Using dates, and since you only have one date, you can either say, decide as if part of your rules, this date represents the day you're going to start the task and not the day that the task is due. You can use that date field and decide what it means for you and the team. If it means when the task is going to start, then you can do something like, and I'm going to do this here, and I'll show you. If I say we're going to start the task next weekend, but the chairs are due by, and this is one I used to do with Microsoft Task, just due by 7/1/25. So I'm going to go back and show you what I did here. So here's an example, and I don't know how to blow this up, but I used 6/21, that was by accident, as the start date, but in the title, I put the due date. So if you have a tool where you only have one date field in it, use the date. You can reverse them as well. You could say this is due on 7/21, and you could put in in the name of the task, start, and put a date, or anything else that you want to set as a priority as multiple team members. So, working with the team, you guys need to have this discussion about how we're going to use this space that we have. Now, overwhelm, that gets back to you individually, that we talked about last week, having your own individual mechanism for keeping track of what you know is important. You know, in the different areas of your life, whatever they are, right? What's more of a priority or less of a priority? We know that. I would just say this: we know that inherently, right? If I'm making a decision about my health or someone else's health that I'm responsible for versus going to a party or shopping for a party, health is more important than a party. The person who's getting the party may not think that, but if I have to make a decision about which one is more important, the health situation is going to take priority. So part of preventing task overwhelm is just that. And then you also, I believe you can, um, I'm sorry, something just happened on the computer. You can do some filtering when you do searches and just filter on things that are assigned to you. That's one way you can do it. What I often will do, especially with my volunteer service, so this is kind of a little cheat code, just so you know. With some of my volunteer service, we use a simple tool. This we don't use Apple reminders, so I'll show you what we do use. Um, and what I do is every day or every other day, I just have in my personal task management tool, I just have a task that just says check task list for HOA. And every few days, I'll go look and see, is there anything on here that I need to be paying attention to? And those things are the things that I pay attention to. So I still have my personal list. I don't recreate the task in my personal list. I just put one task that says check the task list for ministry, HOA, family party, job, whatever it is, those areas of your life. That way, you're still focused on what you've decided is important for you, but you have a reminder for you to check with your team. And if you have multiple teams, you may have, let's say you have four different teams you're working with, two volunteer, your small business, and your family. So you may have four lines in your personal system to say, check my family shared list, check ministry shared list, check volunteer thing one and volunteer thing two. And you just do that every few days. That's the way I have handled that myself, and it works quite well. So there you go. Let me go to the next question. Anybody else got a question? I'm going to skip to someone else for a minute. Um, David, I'm going to come back to you, Tora. David says, "What's the best tool you have found for team collaboration, or are they all the same?" That's a tongue twister. Or are they all the same? They are not all the same. Best is relative. So I'm going to give you some things to consider. If you're just getting started with team collaboration, I'm a big proponent. Use what you already have. Do not go buy something new. And here's the reason: it's the same advice I give um, individuals when I'm helping them get started in a new personal task management tool. Learning a new process and learning a new tool at the same time doesn't work. So you have to learn one or the other. And I'm a proponent of learning your process first. And the reason I say that is your process generally is not going to change by the tool that you're using, because your process is your process. Let me give you an example what I mean by that. I name my tasks the same way regardless of the tool that I'm using. I start with a verb. I have a set of verbs for that represent projects, and I have a set of verbs that represent smaller tasks. I use the same prioritization process and decision making. Doesn't matter what tool I'm using. I use the same weekly review process regardless of the tool that I'm using. I um, archive old tasks the same way. I may do it differently, but I essentially archive old tasks. Doesn't matter what tool I'm using. So from that perspective, the tool is whatever one that works. But if you and your team have not made the decisions on what your processes are going to be, how you set priorities, how you name your task, how you prune the list, how often you do a review, whether one person or everyone is going to be adding to the list, then the tool is irrelevant because your process hasn't been fixed or hasn't been defined. If that makes sense to you, let me know. Or if you want me to go in more depth, I can. But think about your process first. You can start your process with whatever is in your pocket, whatever phone device, Android, iOS, Pixel, whatever. You can start with what you already have. You already, example, I'm showing Apple reminders. You already know how to use Apple reminders, the basics. You don't have to learn how to do anything. That gives you time to work out your process. Okay. Now, later on, when you determine that you've got something more sophisticated to do, great. Start looking at more sophisticated tools. But by then, your process and your team is accustomed to what your decisions are. What do we used to call it? Your team rules of the road. You all have decided that. And so that part is baked in and you don't have to think about it. Now it may be learning where to click and where not to click and that kind of thing. Okay. I'm going to go to Miss Denise said, wrong button. I'd like to learn how to set these polls in the chat. Tora taught me. She taught me how to do it because I wanted to learn too. It's really easy, Miss Denise. It was so easy. When she showed me what to do, I was like, Florence, all you got to do is read the screen. Just read the screen, child. Read the screen. But tell you what I'll do. I'll make a video and put it up on my community, up in the community on Podia, and you can get it from there. I'm not going to put it up on YouTube because it's showing some personal information. It's going to show some personal information I don't want to put all over YouTube. All right. Next question. is how do you help a team prioritize when everything feels urgent? When the lack of planning is supposed to become it's supposed to become an emergency for everyone else. Your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency on my part. We learned that years and years ago. Unless you're just getting started in life, we all learned that very early on when we were just getting started in life. So, how do you help a team prioritize? First of all, you can't go by feeling. Our emotions will fool us. So, we can't use our emotions to make the decisions. We have to have something objective, a deadline that's coming, um, a a result that you want to achieve sooner rather than later. I'll give y'all an example. You may have noticed I'm sweating like I'm not going to say what because my AC went out and my AC maintenance guy wasn't available this week. So we are suffering over here. Let me just tell y'all, your girl suffering, but I'm making it work. So me, that's a true urgent situation. But I have to wait till he's available because he's the only one I've trusted over the years. I've used other services and they have all been horrible. So I trust him. He's never let me down. Imma suffer for a little bit. But in my volunteer service, like my HOA, there are some decisions we have to make because of things that we can't move. For example, we have to do our budget the same time every year because the new budget year starts on the same day every year and we've got defined times when things have to happen, when the budget have to be approved, when the letters go out to the homeowners so that they know what if there's an increase and what the overall budget is, and we've got to get the stuff uploaded to here, there, and other things. So we know those times are coming. What I did, this is about team prioritization, because we know every year we have that timeline. I just made a simple spreadsheet that basically creates the dates based on the time in between each activity. And then we know it needs to start in a certain month in order for us not to be rushed. Now, the individual tasks to make each of those things happen, we put in a shared task list, but we've got the timeline baked out. So for those things that are repeating, you do them once a year, once every 2 years, once a quarter, whatever. Make yourself a simple timeline. You can use Google spreadsheets and or whatever spreadsheet tool you've got. You don't need anything more complicated than that, and then set it up so that it tells you what date things need to happen in order to make it. And that will eliminate some of the what feels like everything is happening at the last minute. I just did this in my corporate world, and I'll be frank with you, I need to do more of that in my personal world because I don't always do it myself. I do it for some things, but not other things. So that's a great reminder. So thank you for reminding me that I need to apply that in a couple of other areas of in even in my life. Okay. So that's how I help do the prioritization and not feel like everything is urgent because everything is not urgent and not going by emotion, how I feel. Because feelings aren't facts. Feelings are not facts. They're just feelings. All right, let's go to the next question. What's one mistake you see teams make when assigning tasks? I'm going to give you more than one. I talked about one, and that is the team does not decide on its team rules of engagement. That is a huge mistake. Someone decides that we're going to do this, but we don't have a conversation and answer questions of people. And I've done this. This is why I know it's a mistake. I've done this myself. And the team doesn't have an opportunity, the team members don't have an opportunity to understand, give their thoughts, think about what it means for them and how will apply what you're talking about. So when it comes to the task being assigned and you created a tool, if you didn't go through that process, the team just won't do anything. They won't update the task. They won't even look at them. They won't even think about them. So that's one mistake. Not as a team figuring out what your rules of engagement are and how you'll work together using just simple Apple reminders. Okay. Another one is not ensuring that everyone understands how to write a task that's clear and specific and really small enough that the actual task itself gets done. We do this individually as well. We write what's a project, but we write it as a task. The classic is in David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. One of the examples he talked about is you're going to change your light bulb. And you think, I'm just going to change the light bulb. But what you didn't think about is, do I have the light bulbs? Do I need to make a trip to the store? Do I need any specific tools? Like in my case, I have a part of my home that I have to use this stick thing to reach the lights and a ladder. That's why I don't change light bulbs. I told y'all that story where I fell off the ladder onto a hardwood floor and woke up, didn't know how I got there. Um, so we don't think about those things. So we go to change the light bulb. We don't have the ladder because we loaned it to somebody. We don't have the light bulb because we forgot that we ran out and we didn't have any in our supply. We didn't plan on going to the hardware store to get the light bulbs. So now we've got change the light bulb on our to-do list and it's there for 3 months because all of the predecessor things that aren't happening. Something so simple as changing a light bulb can be just that, like, take forever. So those are two mistakes. One, the team itself doesn't figure out its rules of engagement or rules of the road. And number two, not understanding how to break tasks down into small enough chunks so that whatever you're trying to accomplish gets done. If I didn't answer your question, let me know. The next question is from Tori. You come in with some good ones. What are your best practices for balancing individual accountability with team collaboration? Well, you're asking two different questions. It's really team accountability, which really gets back to individual accountability. Teams win when everyone carries their leg of the race. If you ever ran any kind of a relay race, every runner has to carry their leg. They may not be as strong as one. If you've ever run, we know this, right? Your anchor is your strongest runner. You put your second fastest runner typically at the beginning, and your anchor is your fastest runner. And the other two who may not be as strong, you put them in the middle because your first leg hopefully will give you a lead. If you lose ground on leg 2 and 3, your last leg is strong enough to make up the difference. So that individual accountability is exactly that. You may have team members who are stronger in some areas and some who are not as strong. You may have some who are a little bit more challenging and they take a little bit more time. So you've got to work together to say, okay, all of us are the same. We don't all work at the same speed. We don't all process the information the same way. How do we work together to make this relay team still be successful and get across the finish line and win? Do I have one person who's really, really good at writing tasks really great? Do I have another person who's really, really good at doing the physical things versus doing the administrative things? Do I have is somebody else on the team who's really, really good at talking with people and someone else is not good at talking with people? So you divide up the task to play to the person's strength. But the team has to know what those strengths are. So you have to be, quite frankly, you have to be transparent with each other so that you can say, you can know who has what strengths. I'm going to use me as an example because I can always tell on myself. I asked the emotional CEO to create the thumbnails and other graphics because he is extraordinary at it. I can take time to write what I'm thinking and be as clear as possible with what I'm thinking. But me creatively designing and seeing a vision for what those words are and creating it graphically or in a picture, it's not my strengths. Now, I'm kind of cheating because he's a phenomenal writer. Let me just tell y'all, he is a phenomenal writer. But that's the way we divide that work. I write out everything, I describe it as best I can, and I hand it off to him, and he goes to work. So we're playing to our strengths. I'm not trying to do what he does, and he doesn't come over here and do what he expects me to do. Now, he does get on me because I told y'all I'm not perfect. I don't always give him the stuff in the amount of time he needs. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better. So play to each other's strength within the team, whatever that is. Similarly, Frank on our team is great at serving people. So that's where he serves, serving you all in the community with Ananea and Josh, just serving people. He's great at that. He has a heart for it. It's something that he can do in his sleep. Let me ask him to write a video script for me. That is never going to happen. Not today, not tomorrow, and not on God's green earth. So play to each other's strength is the answer that I would give you. The way you do that is you have to be transparent with each other and get to know each other. So I know that that may have been a long answer to a short question. All right. All right, Brian, you just got an app. You just got an Apple. Did you get a Mac laptop or a Mac Mini? Still trying unpack coming from a PC. Yeah, it is a different way of thinking, making that switch. It took me a little bit of time, but it actually once you make the switch, you like, how did I not have this before? I'm gonna send people for you. I'm just saying. No, I did not say partay. And I don't like Kool-Aid. I didn't like Kool-Aid as a kid. That stuff is a death drink. Please don't drink that. Please don't drink that. Denise says, okay, as we speak, I'm setting up a task for my admin, read the news later. Just be sure you're breaking those down so that they can actually get done. Okay, I don't even understand this. I bought a lens to fix my job search. Oh, I got it from from Roy. Ma'am, ma'am, why are you coming over here? When is the birthday stream? Why y'all picking on me? Why y'all picking on me? Y'all don't want to do that. Y'all do not want to do that. All right. I'm just double checking if there are any other questions before I go on and show you. I'm just double checking. So I'm going to answer this question about the birthday stream because it was last week because somebody had to open their mouth and say something, Tora. Um, I did not put together and tell the emotional CEO that I'm doing a birthday stream. And since he knows when my birthday is, yeah, I'm not trying to get beat down in the heat over here by telling him at this late date. So, yeah, no, we're not doing a birthday stream. All right. So let's go on and look at another tool that you already have that you can use for um, task management for your team. And that's Google, but in a different way than what you expect. Here's the difference. With Google, you have to turn on the chat feature. And the way you do that is you go into settings and you go over here. I got to be able to see y'all to chat and meet. And you turn on Google Chat. I typically have this off, but to do what I'm about to show you, you need to have this on in your Google environment. So wherever you can just go to a browser, go to your Gmail account and turn on Google Meet, Chat and Meet. So make sure that's enabled. Once you do that, you'll see the chat um, icon over here in the sidebar. What that allows you to do is create what are called spaces. I created a test space, and in the space, you can do chat just like you can in Teams, in Slack, in um, Discord, in any other chat tool, Facebook. It's just chat. It's what we're all used to, and you use email address to do that. But that's not the beauty of it. With these spaces, you can add members. So you just need to have the other person's email address, and then you can invite the person to join your space. Once you invite the person to join your space and they accept, they also have to turn on chat on their Google account if they're using, and this works with Google. Then you can do things like share task. Google Task, and you can see here you can do similar things that we did in Apple Reminders. You can assign the task to another person, you can set date and time. Difference, you can be making comments in chat against those tasks. Let me go back. And you can also share Google Documents and Sheets and other things with that group of people right in this space. Just think of a space as just a work area where you and your two, three, four, five different colleagues, whether it's volunteer or whatever, can see documents and work on them. And you don't have to be clicking around looking in other tools. You can share tasks. And the one of the great things is when you share tasks this way, if I go back to oh, if I go back to Gmail and I look at my task here, those shared tasks show up here. Right here, you see it says test space. That's that space where I put myself in that space, invited myself to it. This one doesn't have that little icon. That's because this is just regular Google Tasks outside of that space. This is a regular Google Task inside of that space. So if you're using these spaces, you can see which um, area, whether it's personal or in a group, and you can s- create different lists and toggle between them. So that's one way you can also, again, this is the key. You already have it. Most of us have a Gmail account somewhere. You just turn on chat, create the space, and um, And you can filter, like if I have something unread, I can turn it on and just say, just show me unread things and that. And I can just add in documents, task. I can categorize documents using labels, date shared, other things. So there's some features in here that you can use in the Google world that are not quite as easy in the Apple world. I wanted to show you two different ways with tools. This is the key: tools you have already, tools you have already, not extra tools. All right. So again, you can sort and filter. You can put, if you've got labels, you can categorize. You can share tasks and assign them. And the person, again, could just come in, check it off, and the task goes away. You don't have to chase each other. You still have those decisions to make: prioritization, um, naming tasks, all of those things, those capabilities or those decision points. The team still need to have those conversations and make them. Okay, so you just turn on chat, go down here, you can create a space, and then you can invite others to your space right here. Add members, manage members, space details, things like what you name it, describe it, any guidelines you want, you can put them right in here. You can add other apps in if you want, any kind of apps that they've got here. Some of the things that are available, polls and other additional software. I didn't want any of that, so I just left it alone. If you're using webhooks, if you know how to use webhooks, if you don't, just ignore it. And then you can, again, share documents, click add, go to your system, find a document. Let's say this family reunion spreadsheet that we looked at in the personal, and you want to make sure that everybody in the space can see that spreadsheet, and you want them to be able, you just want them to be able to see it. You don't want them to be able to even do anything with it. You just want them to be able to view it. This is something you can do. So now they can come here. They don't have to click around in Google Drive to figure out where that document is. So this is a capability that you already have. And then you can add task and assign task to different people. Type it, new task, new task. You can add date, time, you can assign it, you can add additional details. Let's say this is the chairs, you're going to get 25 chairs at $10 per chair. Pick up on Saturday. Because you're just adding details in. And I'm going to assign this to the other person. Click add. And now the other person has that task. What happens with Google? They get an email that says, Bob assigned this task to you. When they go to their personal Google task list, it'll show up right there for them. They can work with it. They can add notes. They can make comments, and they can check off the task right there in their own system, right in their own Google account. They don't have to come over to another account. They don't have to leave a tool that they're already using to be able to work back and forth with you. And the reason I wanted to show you this one is there's multiple reasons. One, you have it already. Two, it's easy. Three, you can use it, or you can use it with people regardless of whether they're in the Apple world, the Windows world, the Linux world, or whatever. As long as they can get to a browser, you can use this Google capability. And so I wanted to give you something that was very easy, flexible. You already know how to use Google Task. If you don't, let me know. I can share some video links in the description, because I've done some videos and some live streams talking about using Google Task. Share those with you. And if you are looking for, like, how do I make this decision, back to an earlier question from Tora, a great tool, and a link again, it's in the description, is my brainstorm blueprint. Why? Instead of just going in and starting to make lists and things, spend a little bit of time, not a whole lot, maybe 30 minutes, sitting down with your team, pull out the blueprint, go through those core questions, write them down, and then you can get started. So it's an easy tool. You can work with your team. You can have go through the steps, make your decision about what your process is going to be, at least what your starter workflow is. And then you can iterate from there or evolve from there or improve from there. All of those words work. Iterate, evolve, improve, try it, fix it, plan, do, review. It all comes around to the same thing. You set it up, you're using it, you figured out what you wanted to do different, and you apply it. Keep in mind, figure out your process using a tool that you already have. Don't go get ClickUp, Asana, Trello, Notion, Monday.com, Smart Sheets. I can keep going and try to figure out how to use all of those tools, and you don't have a process with your team that your team has bought into and everyone understands it. Ask me how I know. The reason I know this doesn't work doing it the opposite way is because I've done it and it failed miserably. I'm not talking from what I read, I'm talking and sharing from what I've experienced. And when I went back and worked with my team and we had a conversation, now cooking with Pam, we got a process that works. We got tools that work. It's easy peasy. Nobody's confused about what we're doing. So, any last minute questions? I'm double checking with you all. I don't see any. Yolanda, why do you want to do a birthday stream? I see you got this in here multiple times. Why? Why do you want to do that to me? All right, gang. I don't see any new questions showing up. So we're going to just cover this and just know whatever team you're working with, your family, your volunteer service, your ministry, your small business, your content creation, knowing how to work together and setting up simple tools and processes everyone buys into, the entire team buys into. Yes, ma'am, I hear you. Is really useful, and you will go much further doing it this way than you will if everyone is doing something different and the team doesn't know what tasks are assigned to who, and they're all over the place. They're in 15 different places and nobody knows where anything is. And you're not taking the extra time to email and text and call and do all of those. Take the time, grab the blueprint, link in the description, and y'all making me feel guilty. Emotional CEO, will you kill me? The answer is probably yes. If I decide to do a birthday stream, if you put yes in the chat or put yes or no in the chat. Hey, Obs. Hey, Mr. James Hicks. Glad to see y'all join us today. James Hicks in the building. James Hicks is in the building. And Aubrey is in the building. Aubrey, you're working on your book. I'm so proud of you and happy for you. So thank you all for being here. But just if you need a way to start, go in the comments, the description, and grab the blueprint. And if you need to understand how to use Google Task, go look at a video that'll be on the screen as soon as this processes, because I've shown you how to do that already and I've got it in a video for you. With that, I will say this, he's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. Y'all, if I have a black eye next week, you know why. You'll know why, cuz we'll do a birthday stream next Friday. It's not my birthday, but that's the closest you're going to get to it. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know how that's gonna look. Maybe I'll think about it and I'll put something out on the channel. You guys may come in. No, y'all, I'm not gonna let y'all roast me. Never mind. Cause I'll be up here crying because y'all will be mean to me. Anyway, good night, everyone. Have a great weekend. I'm so glad you joined me this evening. Have a great weekend.